This week on World's Toughest Fixes, prepare to be blown away.
Oh, Jesus.
50-mile-an-hour gusts? There's no way we're gonna lift this thing in this weather.
We're bringing power to the people with a wind turbine. For this community, it's the dream of a lifetime.
I'm so happy I could cry.
For the guys putting it up,
I can't help the wind, dude.
it's more like a nightmare.
It has to go up.
Bring it.
Especially when things don't go according to plan.
We lost something up there, I don't know. The stars are against us today.
We gotta get this build done,
This is gonna get hairy.
and we've gotta get it right.
Coming down, Scott, coming down, coming down.
Get it wrong, and this fix could end in disaster. I'm Sean Riley. I'm a professional rigger by trade.
This is the stuff I'm passionate about.
We're going to meet the people working overtime,
Well done.
the unsung heroes,
You guys are rock stars. I'm just learning by watching.
tackling the toughest problems on the planet. If it's big, broken, we're gonna fix it on World's Toughest Fixes. Harnessing the energy of the wind is nothing new. The problem, as any sailor will tell you, is the wind has a mind of its own.
I'm on a 22-foot sailboat in the waters of Rhode Island. And the wind here can be harsh and unpredictable.
When you want it to blow hard, it's dead calm. And when you want a pleasant sea breeze, you get a hurricane.
And that's exactly what's gonna make this one of the toughest fixes yet.
I'm on my way to the town of Portsmouth, Rhode Island, a small community that's made a very big decision. They're taking energy production into their own hands. They want to start making electricity for themselves. Today's fix, the final assembly of a giant 100-meter tall wind turbine. When I get to the work site, the crew is ready to roll.
Generators all touched down?
Yeah.
And the whole town has turned out to watch the build of this clean, green monster machine. The arrival of each massive part of the turbine has been big news around town. It's the first step towards free energy for the next generation.
Time to spin now.
This couldn't be any better than this is great.
From the day this starts generating power, it runs in the black. The town will be saving money from day one.
My gosh, after 5 years, it's going to happen. Amazing.
Doug, nice to meet you.
And Rich Tulipsky?
Rich Tulepsky and the community have worked a lot of hours to get to this day.
Hey, huh?
We're really proud. We're really proud of what we've done. There are many times when I thought this thing was going to be torpedoed next week and sink to the bottom.
The turbine will provide 75% of the electricity required to power the entire town.
Morning.
Morning.
How we doing, man?
The two guys overseeing the entire operation are top dogs in the wind power industry.
Has your team ever built one in a day?
Oh, yeah, we built 2 in a day.
Get out, really?
Yeah, for sure.
Keith McClellan is the foreman on the job. His buddy Relic works the top of the tower.
Coming down, Scott.
Together, they've put up hundreds of turbines.
Coming down easy.
The other top dog on this site is Relic's constant companion, his basset hound Dodo. The crew already has the base of the tower up. Now they've got 3 critical lifts to go. Enormous, technically challenging, and prone to disaster. First up is the tower section. This 20-meter-long steel tube is lifted off the deck with 2 cranes. Next comes the gearbox and generator assembly, or nacelle, all 62 metric tons of it. Finally, there's the massive hub and blade assembly. As long as a football field from tip to tip and designed to catch the wind. Now, here's rule number 1. Any wind over 40 kilometers per hour and nothing flies. Our first job, put up the tower section. Keith and Relic are the original odd couple.
Looking good, guys.
Keith works on the ground,
How are you on that fiber? Still good?
overseeing the build. Relic works in the tower.
Coming up. Hold that.
Keith's got a long fuse.
Ready to rock, and I'll give you a show.
Relic runs quite a bit hotter.
I'm just telling you, go get some plywood.
He cools down at the end of the day with his faithful hound, Dodo. Keith and Relic have been running together since they were kids in Nova Scotia. By now, these guys can practically read each other's minds.
You guys gotta go.
Alex Piche and Serge Gracia, they're the project managers from AAER, the maker of the turbine. And every day it lies in pieces on the ground, it's costing them big time.
The weight's right off it now, they're gonna start cutting it loose, so. Okay.
It's a catch-22 for Keith and his crew. They need to get this turbine built, but the wind is playing hardball.
And, I mean, that's part of the game, right? I mean, you do as much as you can to get ready and pray to the wind gods.
Gotcha. And who makes the call, really, about the lift?
It's the crane operator's decision. The onus is on him to make the decision, whether it's a go or not. It's his machine, it's his liability, so we respect that.
The buck stops with crane operator Scotty Vickers. If he says we don't go, we don't go. All he needs is a small window of low wind to lift.
It may take 4 or 5 minutes, which may not sound like a lot, but a lot can happen in that 5 minutes. Strong wind, gust of wind, you know, you never know what nature's gonna throw at you.
So we wait and wait. Scotty's used to it.
Yeah, we have a coffee maker here and can make ourselves comfortable.
Yeah? What do you do with yourself?
There's really not a lot to do up here, you know.
Yeah.
But
if you're not
it comes with the territory.
Right.
Some days you're busy, other days it's a lot of waiting.
A lot of sitting around, punctuated by moments of extreme pucker?
Some days there's some pucker.
Right now, things look like a go. Wind speed is holding just under the cutoff point of 40 kilometers per hour.
Watch your fingers and be aware of them.
A quick safety briefing, and I sign my life away. I'm going to be working with Relic and his crew at the top of the tower.
Taking my cues from him, listening to him.
He's the lead guy, so he'll get you working and get you going and make sure everybody's safe.
Great. We're going to go for it. So, Rel, you just want me to flake this out to you? Okay. Right now, the wind's at about 13 to 22. Go ahead. But it's gusting, so that's bad. At this point, we can lift right now, but the wind's changing every second. If we don't lift in the next half an hour, maybe hour, we could lose our window.
Keith and his crew race to get the top part of the tower rigged. But this is a very complicated lift.
The way it's rigged up here, we got a 4-point pick, and there's swivel eyes on the tower to let it rotate as it goes. They're all major lifts where you have to actually have 2 cranes, because when the pieces are laying horizontal, we have to get them vertical.
Waiting time is over. This is where Keith needs to stay cool. For this lift, he has to keep his focus on 2 separate cranes. Scotty will be lifting the tower section suspended on a 70-meter arm. Glenn Gresgo will man the second crane. Together, they have to raise the section until there is just enough clearance to rotate it from the horizontal to the vertical. If the wind gusts at any time, it's big trouble for both crane operators and for anyone working up high.
Bring it.
Pete and Chris are the other 2 guys up here at the top, risking life and limb.
Chris Taglianetti.
Taglianetti.
Irish then, huh?
You got me stuttering at that one.
Building wind turbines is a relatively new business.
How long have you guys been doing this? How long have you been doing this?
I'm a union iron worker. I do a lot of steel erection. So this is actually my first turbine.
Turbines for about 2.5 years, and then before that, cell phone towers.
Like these guys, I'll be learning while I'm earning. No matter what our experience, we all know gusty wind during big lifts is bad news.
All right, like 25 miles an hour. How do you feel about that?
This whole turn's pretty good, so.
We're right at the limit. As soon as we start lifting, we're heading up into the danger zone. The decision's made. After 5 years of planning, the folks of Portsmouth are finally seeing their wind turbine take shape. Everyone is watching to see how this piece of tower reacts to the wind.
I mean, we're right on the bubble now, so everything is critical now. The faster we can get it done, because, you know, the wind could come up any time and then we're shut down.
Lifting this thing is only half the battle. Now we have to land it safely. This is crunch time.
This is where you want to watch your fingers.
Scotty is sitting way below us, using years of experience to swing 27 tons of steel right over our heads. No one needs to remind us how dangerous this is. One gust now, and for any of us in the tower, it's lights out. All eyes in Portsmouth, Rhode Island are focused on the final section of the wind turbine tower, hanging in the air above us.
She is.
The only way to line it up is to muscle it into place by hand.
Right there. The crane slowly booming over. We're gonna have to feed this top end right into the bottom section of the ladder. That's one more thing to try to mate up. As you can see, we're gonna have to twist the whole unit around quite a bit.
Now we have to land this beast carefully on top of the tower.
Coming down. Coming down.
Look at that, look at that.
We have to work fast. Lock this down and get on to the next lift. With the tower finished, there's even more of a time crunch. Now we're committed. The next giant part will cap the tower and stabilize it, but it's a monster lift.
This piece here is called the nacelle, and it really houses the guts of the turbine. It's got the enormous gearbox that the rotor is actually attached to. Behind that is the spinning generator that's turning mechanical energy into electricity. Underneath the whole thing is the gearing that turns the rotor into the wind. All assembled, this unit weighs about 62 tons, and it's by far the heaviest thing we have to lift.
The nacelle is the nuts and bolts of electricity generation, the power that will run Portsmouth High School, where the turbine is being built. Soon, this entire campus, from the PA system to the computer lab, will be powered by wind. While the crew are rigging up the nacelle, I go to meet the folks who will benefit from this turbine.
Thank you. Would you like a map of this?
Great.
Okay.
Cafeteria, gymnasium, library, hallway, period 2. It's all coming back to me.
The students at Portsmouth High are pretty excited about their new neighbor.
Well, I think it's really great. It's a good, it's an interesting engineering feat.
I'd much rather have that than a coal power plant that's going to be just like belching out smoke all the time.
Now for a quick lesson in Electricity 101.
So my hand is comparable to the wind that's turning the blades. So just as my hand is turning this crank, which is causing the light bulb to light, the wind is turning the blades in the turbine.
Okay, so what's the physics?
Someone.
Well, I would say in this, the moving, there's like magnet stuff in there.
There's some magnet stuff in there.
So it's turning into electrical energy.
How?
Well, there's some sort of voltage.
Some physics.
No, it's gonna. It turns the gearbox, which turns the motor, which changes electric flux.
Electric flux?
No, magnetic flux.
Magnetic flux. Okay.
Hey, you try and answer the question with the TV camera stuck in your face. Let's get some help here. Whenever you pass an electric conductor, like a wire, through a magnetic field, you create a current. That's what's happening inside the nacelle, but on a much bigger scale.
How are we for clearance on there? You still good?
A generator this big will be lighting up a lot of bulbs. Up until yesterday, it looked like it was going to end up a very expensive boat anchor. You'll never believe how much trouble we had just getting it here. Portsmouth is on an island, and the only road in is over a bridge. But at 62 metric tons, this part of the wind turbine is way too heavy for the bridge, so we had to bring it in by boat.
Yeah, I got you. Hey, Captain, permission to come aboard? Right on, thank you.
This is Nick Tanionis.
Check your bow line now.
He specializes in moving big things across this bay.
A lot of people move yachts from here to the Caribbean or whatever by ship. So we'll move containers or whatever. We had...
That's how I get my yacht to the Caribbean.
That's right. Yeah. Me too.
I have it sent on a ship.
For this part of the fix, all we had to do was move the nacelle from a truck to the barge. What could possibly go wrong?
We put all that weight onto one crane, and right here we're on the edge of the water. We could bust out the shoreline. It'd be kind of a nightmare scenario.
Marine disaster.
Yeah. That's what we'd like to avoid, so.
We like to frown on that.
From then on, no one was laughing.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. It's a little dynamic.
First, it was sitting the wrong way on the truck.
Hey, let's put this, spin it and put it down.
From then on in, if it could go wrong, it did.
Oh, it just keeps getting better. Come on over here, let me show you something. That's gonna be a problem. Trailer can't back up. The trailer's in multiple pieces. The truck stuck in a ditch. The load is hanging in the air. The wind's picking up. The barge is waiting. I can't imagine anything else that could go wrong. It wasn't a good noise.
Then we broke an axle.
Boy, the stars are against us today, I'm telling you. Struggling with this one. Man, we are just eating the concrete back there.
You know what they say, when the going gets tough, the tough run on a broken axle. By sundown, we finally got our load stowed aboard Ron's barge.
Here we go.
Sharp's up.
Yeah, I can feel it really settling. Put 62 tons on the front end, the whole bow just dipped right in.
We made it across the bay, pulled into the wharf 6 hours late, and we thought our job was done.
You lit up.
That's it.
It must be we made it, huh?
It's done. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Nice job, guys.
But the nacelle still has one more trick up its sleeve.
What the hell is going wrong? This is a bad time. We lost something up there. I don't know what. Oh. Brothers in arms, all waiting for the same thing.
Quitting time?
Yeah, right. Starting to think maybe you lit your cigar a little too soon.
Too early?
Yeah.
Finally, after hours of blood, sweat, and tears, we managed to get the nacelle to Portsmouth. Next, we've got to lift it and lock it onto the tower. The work we're doing here will have to hold tight for years of high-torque operation. If these machines malfunction, you don't want to be anywhere nearby. This fix will be a dream come true for the community of Portsmouth, Rhode Island. It's a small harbor town of just 17,000. Rich Talepsky has spearheaded the turbine project from the day the town voted to build it.
Community effort was the whole premise on this. It's a community's wind turbine. They've all gotten behind it, and it's really a community project right now. And I hope when we get it up, it's going to be quiet and beautiful like we think it's going to be.
That's the goal, but now it's up to us to put the turbine together. Our next lift is the nacelle, and it's a beast. Relic, Pete, Chris, and I are up in the tower.
Could be all day. Could be all day.
And in the crosshairs. Hauling this 62-ton nacelle 60 meters up in strong winds is going to be a nail-biter. But not bringing it up puts our lives in jeopardy, too.
You kind of get the rock back and forth, and it's kind of...
Keith and his buddy Rel have been here before.
I was saying it. You always hear us say the key thing is once the top tower section's on, we have to put the nacelle on to cover it up. Because when the wind hits the tower and goes inside the tower, it creates the oscillation. And that's where you kind of get that. It's kind of an eerie feeling when you're up there because you start swaying back and forth.
Here's the deal. Without the nacelle to stabilize it, the whole tower could collapse.
You can tell the wind's picking up just because it starts to push around the top of the tower. You don't even have to stand up and feel it because the tower starts to rock back and forth. You can feel the whole thing moving back and forth 5, 6 inches. It's definitely not calming down.
The guys on the ground know the sooner we get the nacelle mounted to the top,
that won't go anywhere.
The sooner everyone is out of harm's way. The pressure's on Keith to do this lift now.
Come on, baby.
But the wind is still gusting, and Relic is even grumpier than usual.
27.
What's that mean?
Means they better be able to hold this fucker.
This is nuts. There's got to be a lot of pressure on you. I know everybody's talking about getting it up, getting it up.
If you put a price on my fingers and my buddy's life or anybody else's life, it's only money. They print it every day. And it's not my money, so.
Actually, it's these guys' money, and the pressure's on them to get the turbine finished.
As long as we're going to have enough headroom.
You said you needed 13 feet, right?
Yeah.
This project is months behind schedule, and every day these pieces sit here, cash is blowing out the door. At this point, the wind is touch and go. Once we get the nacelle rigged, Keith and Scotty will have to make the final decision on whether to lift or not.
Let's see what he thinks from up there.
The wind is just too strong. They make the call to shut it down. With the lift grounded for now, I head out to meet someone who knows all about Rhode Island winds.
Is it northeaster or nor'easter?
It's a northeaster, but if you're from New England, it's called a nor'easter.
Paul Solenberger is a local weatherman. First order of business is trying out some New England fare.
What is a quahog?
A quahog?
Quahog?
That's kind of a clam. Yeah.
A big clam?
Depends. I don't know. What kind of clams have you eaten?
A quahog.
Yeah. Try it out.
Poppy's stuffed quahog. But I run up.
While I wait for my quahog, Paul explains why the wind readings are so much higher at the top of the tower than on the ground.
Sure. Well, when you're up at 80 meters, you're getting above the gradient level, which is the friction level. So you're getting a very false reading at the surface.
Right, so as the wind, as it glides over the surface of the land, there's trees and houses and whatnot, so you're getting turbulence, you're getting all sorts of false information there on the ground level. What you got there?
But here's the food. He wasn't kidding when he said it's a monster.
Clam? It's a single clam. Look at that, fair enough. Thank you, that looks great. Check that out. Look at that shell on the bottom. Ow. It's one extremely hot clam, actually. Just in case you're wondering, that just came right out of the oven. Yeah.
Well, they bake them. I should have warned you. They bake them in the shell.
Yeah, that one's been baked.
It's probably about 350 degrees.
Probably right about there. Yeah. Little pepper, little clam. Here we go. It's pretty good. Mm-hmm. Wow.
I've barely finished lunch when I get called back to the job site. The guys are going for the lift.
We're gonna get her rigged up and get her ready. Okay.
Keith calls up to Relic to let him know we're going for it. He wants to get this lift done today.
We'll get her in position and ready to rock, and I'll give you a shout.
What? But right now where it's at, this is not where you want to lift and sell. It's you're turning it into cowboy time.
We're gonna put as much tension on it as we can get, and just keep going up, you know, going up slow till you can catch it.
Well, I can't help the wind, dude.
Oh yeah, no, I hear you.
We're holding anywhere between 20 and 30 miles an hour, but it's cooking right now.
Relic's not so sure.
Okay. And I'm just letting you know that I'm not a cowboy, bud. We'll sit and wait and see what happens with the wind.
All right, good enough. Okay, Ralph, see ya.
This isn't good. The more the wind kicks up, the less likely it is we'll lift today. The sheer weight of the nacelle is what makes it so hard to lift. If the wind starts spinning it, you have 62 metric tons on the move. It could smack into the crane, and that is a showstopper.
It's picking up for sure. Wow.
Right now, the ball is in Keith's court.
The issue is not really up them catching it up there right now. It's us trying to keep it square all the way up. So that's going to be the key.
This is crunch time for the makers of the turbine. Getting this part up means they're that much closer to closing the books on this job.
We'll just get the tagline.
But not until Relic and Keith agree it's safe to lift. Right now, we're at a standstill.
So this is turbine work, huh? It's not so bad. A little cold, a little boring. Lots of cold and boring, punctuated by moments of extreme terror. It's great.
It's just too dangerous to pick something this heavy if we can't keep it steady. The problem comes down to something we all learned about in school: momentum.
So what is the big deal with the wind? I mean, why is it such a problem if the objects that we're lifting, like the nacelles, start to move? The answer lies in a little bit of simple physics. Because the things we're lifting are so heavy, if they start to drift even a tiny amount, they can be very, very difficult to stop. I'm back here at the high school to show you what I mean.
I've roped in a couple of student volunteers to help with an experiment in basic momentum. Joe will act as our force measurement device. All he has to do is catch the weight without moving his feet.
Is just arrest that force with your hands. Like this? Yeah, just catch it. Great. 35 pounds doesn't represent that much weight, really.
Now we increase the weight on the swing by adding his classmate, Blake.
Be our next experimental control weight. Force measurement device, weight coming at you. Look at that, solid.
Still not enough force to push Joe off his mark.
Come on.
When we put Joe's teacher in the hot seat, things get a bit heavier.
So, any predictions? What do we think is going to happen here?
I think Joe's going to get knocked over.
You think it's going to go right through?
Yeah.
All right.
This time, there's too much force to keep Joe from losing his footing.
No way. So, he's not moving any further than Blake did, right? But he represents a lot more initial mass. He has a lot more weight to begin with.
That's basic momentum. The heavier the object, the harder it is to stop.
So if we're actually swinging around 62 tons, even just this 4 feet, if we dropped it in at you, there is no way you would stop it, let me tell you. It really would send you through that wall.
That's why we're struggling with the nacelle. It's heavier than a tank, so it doesn't need to be moving fast to do a lot of damage. To try and steady the nacelle during the lift, Keith and the crew attach thick ropes called tag lines.
We're right around 20, 22.
We take one last wind speed reading from the crane, and Keith makes his call.
Anytime you want to get going, let me know. We're good to go over here.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, we're coming up. Going up.
Peter! Tighter! We'll pull them guns up now. Yeah. Game on.
You heard the man. Game on. We're going for it. It is still really windy. They're guaranteeing us on the deck that they can hold the load. They're going to have tag lines on it. They're going to be straining against those tag lines. They say they can hold it. There's a fair bit of skepticism up here, but ultimately, if they send it up, we'll try and catch it.
Here's the challenge. In lifting something as heavy as 62 metric tons, we run the risk of knocking over the crane. To safely lift the nacelle, the crane operator must raise the boom arm to keep the crane steady, which causes another problem. As the load comes up, it gets closer and closer to the crane. The higher the nacelle gets, the more dangerous any spin or lateral movement becomes. If the load hits the crane, it could easily collapse it, taking out the tower and us. To keep that from happening, 2 crews on the ground strain to keep the nacelle from spinning. It's critical they hold this thing square to the crane. The first 15 meters, and things are looking good. Then, around the halfway mark, things start to go south in a hurry.
Sakes. Spinning. No, it's spinning on them. Yep, it's coming around. They got one of the tags wrapped around the tractor. The other tag has got like 6 guys on it, just straining against it.
6 guys don't mean nothing.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's what they got. They got 6 guys on one tag.
6 guys pulling around like me walking the dog.
On 3 keys? Yeah. 1, 2, 3.
It's man versus machine.
We didn't get nothing.
And machine is winning.
Okay, let's...
Bringing the load up any higher would be dangerous. It's out of control and way too close to the crane for comfort.
The thing is we got to be able to keep it square to the boom, because the higher we get, the closer we're going to get to his boom. We can't have it flying all over the place. Okay, let's do that.
The guys on the ground need to regroup.
They're still at least 50 feet shy of the lid here, and they can't hold it steady. It's spinning 90 degrees and back and 90 degrees and back. We won't lift it till we can guarantee that they can hold it steady, because if it's spinning like that, there's no way we can catch it up here.
All eyes are on Keith as he adjusts the game plan.
So, it always goes like this when you got 1 million people watching you. Not to mention National Geographic.
And his biggest critic is his buddy at the top.
Hey, Keith.
Go ahead.
I know you know this, but we're going to have to get this a lot more steady than that. We're going to be close, eh?
Yeah, I hear you. We're just trying to let her settle now and take up these ropes nice and even so we can get it in one spot.
Well, on my meter right now, Keith, I'm getting between 13 and 23.
Keith thinks if we can get some slack out of the lines, the nacelle will straighten up and hold tight. They add tension, and Scotty starts the lift again. Suddenly, just as the nacelle is about to crest the top of the tower, a rope snaps.
Coming down, Scott, coming down, coming down.
We're walking this way. Camera guy out of the way. Loosen this one, loosen this one.
We're trapped at the top of the tower. A tagline holding the nacelle has snapped and it's out of control.
We're gonna end up needing some more off of that roll.
We've got 62 metric tons coming straight at us and nowhere to run.
Oh, Jesus.
Now it's spinning between the top of the crane and the top of the tower.
Coming down, Scott, coming down, coming down.
We got a pull over here, guys. We need more guys over here. Hurry.
If it hits anything, you can read about it in tomorrow's paper.
Loosen this one, loosen this. Slack on that back one. Loosen it a lot.
There's nothing we can do from up here but pray for the best and brace for the worst. Scotty lowers the load as fast as he can.
We're done.
Wow.
Busting taglines. There's too much wind.
I'm working too hard, huh? Oh, that's a freaker. They went for it. We got close. They were holding it somewhat steady when one of the taglines just parted, just snapped the tagline. That's a thick line, too. A lot of force to break a line like that. When they did, they were really close to the boom, and that tail end started swinging around.
Coming down, Scott, coming down, coming down. That was really close to being bad.
Hey, that's a wrap.
Pardon me, Scott?
I say that's a wrap.
We're coming down, so if it makes you feel any better, I'll back your ass. To hell with this. We'll wait till it's really safe to do it. Suckers.
On the ground, Keith's already feeling the pressure to fix the taglines and try again. Rail isn't convinced.
Either they're going to set it down, or I'm going back to Canada, so.
Well, you don't want to try it again? Up until the rope broke, she was pretty steady. Is it, I mean...
I think the fact that you're getting 25-mile-an-hour wind is what's going on, too. Hey, man, you're pushing an envelope here.
You want to make the call or say the hell with it?
Yeah, Keith, you only got 3 or 4 feet boom clearance here. No, man, that dog don't hunt.
It looks like our buddies are at odds.
You can't fight physics, and you can't fight Mother Nature. For now, there's nothing we can do. It's unsafe to proceed the way it is. I'm gonna stand down, head to the deck, make a new plan.
While we wait for a break in the wind, Rail cools off with Dodo. It doesn't take long for Keith and Rail to patch things up.
Yeah, Rel and I have probably been on about 300 of these together or more, so we can get mad at each other and still be friends at the end of the day because we've been friends for 30 years, so that helps too.
The wind is backed off, and the two buddies agree to give it another go.
Take two.
The nacelle is on its way up. We have to get there first, and this is our third 60-meter climb of the day.
The whole team's dragging a little bit, myself included, for sure. We better lift it this time, because I'm not sure how many more climbs we have in us.
Dead. Rush, rush, rush.
We're jamming to get to the top. So far, the lift is going a whole lot smoother this time around.
I suppose you can edit out the first time around where we're going all over the place, eh? Because this is the way it's supposed to look.
Take two is going a lot better.
We barely make it to the top in time to catch this thing. Now we've got to get it lined up and lowered into place.
Not too far.
Hey, Tiger, this is 20, 60 ton you got here. We're not just swinging this thing right easy, eh?
$62 tons.
Pull that.
Finally, after all we've been through with this thing, we got it. Unbelievable.
I think the good Lord is having pity on me. I'm not a religious man, but I'll be praying tonight when I go home.
We better hope someone is looking over us, because tomorrow's lift, the massive rotor, is the trickiest one yet.
Even here on the ground, the rotor's being blown around pretty good. The way this rotor is specifically designed to catch the wind makes it by far the most challenging piece to lift.
Next is hope and pray for good weather, low wind, and
lots of wind after the rotor's up.
Lots of wind after the rotor's up, that's right.
After what we've been through today, surely tomorrow we'll catch a break. Or maybe not. Mother Nature throws us another curveball.
A little slippery. Can't wait to climb the tower. Yes, huh? Oh, the weather today is lovely. Just keeps getting better. Come up to Rhode Island. We'll build a wind turbine. It'll be a blast. I'll be honest. It'll be an absolute miracle if we can even make it to the job site today.
When we finally get there, the guys are working on the crane, so there's only one way to see what the wind is doing at the top.
I'll call you when I get up there, all right?
All right.
Let you know what you got.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Lucky me. At the top of the nacelle, it's brutal.
Keith, you got your ears on?
Go for Keith.
All right, Keith, this is the deal. I got my hand out the top of the nacelle here.
I'm gusting into the low 40s. Average is in high 20s. Looks like average right now is about 28, 29. I've been up for 2 minutes, so that's a pretty good average. Max is at 42, 43. You're getting heavy gusts up here. I don't know, brother. I don't see any way you can lift this thing in this weather.
Copy that. Thanks, Riley. Come on down, man.
Copy that. Coming down.
At this stage, we're grounded. So there's not much else to do but blow off a little steam and chill out with Dodo. Yesterday we had a monster storm blow through and bury us in snow. But the gods are smiling on us today.
The work site is a snowy, slippery, deadly mess, but the sun is out and the wind is down, and we're going for it.
So far, we've lifted an 18-meter cylindrical piece and landed it on the top of the tower. Then we got the nacelle, the heaviest piece, up. Now it's time to lift the part that's designed to catch the wind, the massive rotor with an 80-meter diameter. It's our toughest lift yet, and again, we're going to use 2 cranes to pull it off. Here's the plan. The large crane will be rigged to 2 of the blades, while a small crane will lift and stabilize the third. We'll lift horizontally until the rotor is high enough to rotate into a vertical position. This is the danger zone, when the blades of the rotor are open to catch the wind. The only thing keeping the rotor from spinning will be the strength of the guys holding back the taglines. Keith and Relic go over the rigging. The cranes are ready. The people of Portsmouth are ready. We're hoping this will be our only trip up the tower today. Everyone wants to see this turbine finished. Up top, we're ready for anything.
How's the wind looking, Scotty?
Right now, we got like 13.
Perfect.
Keith orchestrates the lift and keeps a close eye on the slings as the rotor rises. It's amazing to watch this giant rotor take to the sky for the first time. The slightest gust of wind could send this rig spinning out of control. Steady as she goes.
Hold him. Hold that, Scott.
Suddenly, Relic raises the alarm.
Tell Keith the taglines are in the maxer.
One of the taglines is caught.
Hey!
If we lose control of the rotor, hey! Things could get real ugly real fast. Trying to hold this enormous rotor steady with taglines is an almost impossible task. And now one of them is caught in the crane.
Oh, Jesus.
Hey!
One big gust of wind, and we're history.
Tell him to wake the up, too.
That tagline is right into the crane.
Okay. Slack it off that tagline, get it around that super lift.
There's a bunch of guys yanking on the taglines. They're having a hard time keeping it steady. It's slowly oscillating with the wind.
Can you guys pull a bit on that?
They get the tagline cleared off the crane. Lucky for us, the guys keep the rotor under control.
Coming up.
Keith brings the rotor up a little more.
That's good, coming up.
We're at vertical now, which means he can cut the second crane loose.
Hold her there, Scotty.
Now the only thing stopping it swinging are the men on the taglines.
I said you and Harry, down in the parking lot, there's 2 Northwind trucks. We need to turn them around so their backs are facing.
The ground crew repositions to the parking lot and locks down the taglines.
We're just setting up the taglines now. I mean, the rotor's pretty square to the tower, so we want to keep nice, good tension on it so it goes up nice and square. So we got another 100 feet to go, not even, and we're there, so. Okay, we all, you got her?
The higher we go, the stronger the wind gets.
Okay, Pete, we're already here. Scott, it's all you and Pete now.
Scotty brings the hub up slowly until we can get our hands on it. We've got 34 tons of rotor right in our face.
We've managed to maneuver the 90,000-pound rotor to directly beneath us. Now we're bringing it straight up, and we're going to bolt it into this flange. We need to get it inserted and bolt it down as soon as possible because we have no idea when the wind could pick up again.
It's a straight shot to the top. But guiding this giant rotor into place by hand will be a tricky maneuver.
All right, Scotty, cable up, good. 6 inches, cable up. Coming up.
It's up to the 2 tagline crews to keep the rotor straight.
See if you can get a little bit there.
Pull on the beach house, Pete.
Hey, you
a little bit of pull on the beach house, hey, the tennis court a little bit.
So Rel's talking to those 2 groups of guys, and he's labeled them by where they are. It's one group of guys out by a bar called the Beach House, and one group of guys by the tennis courts.
Right now, Team Beach House is pulling the rotor to square it up a little.
You guys want to give a little bit of slack? Just a touch.
Lining up this many bolts on a 34-ton rotor takes all our strength.
Oh, first baby's through that one long stud. Nice, look at that. Right now we are slamming on the nuts as fast as we can. Trying to get all of these studs at least hand tight.
As soon as they line up, we slam in the bolts.
So she's on. Thank Jesus.
That's it. The final piece of the puzzle is in place.
Surprisingly, you guys really weren't too much in the way.
For all his tough guy attitude, it's actually been great working with Relic and his crew.
Rock and roll. That's a wrap. That is a wrap.
On the ground, Portsmouth celebrates their new turbine. A few days of testing and the town will be generating its own electricity.
You know, it's really hard to explain what I feel right now. You know, we have a few other things to go before we start making power with this. But this is one of the greatest feelings in the world that I just can't explain to you, how I feel at this point. I mean, it's like a feeling I've never felt before. That it's just, wow, we finally did it.
That was amazing.
I'm glad.
Oh,
thanks for helping out up there.
It's my pleasure, man. It really was. Your team is just so great. Relic just knows exactly what he's doing. He gets that calm voice on the radio, and he's like, okay.
Sexy voice?
He gets the sexy voice talking. He's like, okay, Scott, bring it up a little more.
Thanks for coming, and thanks for helping out.
The team is done here, but in this exploding industry, they'll be off to another build soon.
Building a giant wind turbine isn't a job for the faint of heart, but the benefits are for everyone. As soon as these blades behind me start turning, they'll be pulling electricity out of the sky for the surrounding community for years to come.
In the first 2 months of operation, the turbines already generated hundreds of megawatt hours of electricity. In one town's quest for clean power, the future looks bright.
You got the two-shot here?
Yeah, I got it.
This is why I need my little sock puppet. I'm naming him Soundbite. So I'd say something like, Relic, you ready for this? He'd be like, oh, damn, I was born ready. I'm gonna do lifts like this and